Bonney will join the Strawhats. It's clear and simple. Now, you may be thinking, Luffy said that he wanted 10 crew members, and with the addition of Jinbei and including himself, he has 10. But I believe when he said that over 1,000 chapters ago, he wasn't including himself. On top of that, Blackbeard has his 10 Titanic captains, and we know the Straw Hats face them coming in the story, and they will have to be evenly matched in numbers. It's more than clear by now that Oda loves to draw his parallels and has a thing for numbers coinciding with each other. This will be no different. Besides all that, Bonney just fits in with the crew extremely well to the point I think she does more so than Yamato and Carrot, two other potential Straw Hat candidates that people just knew would join the crew. On a superficial level, she has a love for food, more so, if not at least on par with Luffy, which is more than enough of a reason for Luffy to actually join. She gets along with Chopper great, which really makes sense because she's a 12-year-old girl. And she just seems to have a nice energy and flow with the rest of the crew. She has not been with the crew nowhere near as many chapters as Yamato and Carrot did, with them literally spending hundreds of chapters with our guys, but yet she's already made a mark on the One Piece fan base. But of course, it goes deeper than that. She fits well with the Straw Hat Pirates on a more of a thematic level, and it really does have many layers to it. Starting off, she has a meaningful connection to every single one of the Straw Hat Pirates via her father Kuma with the events of Thriller Bark and Sabaody. Kuma not only showed mercy to them when he was sent to Thriller Bark to annihilate Luffy for the world government, but then he turns around and saved them from facing the full wrath of the Marines at Sabaody when they were in a situation they had no chance of winning. It goes deeper than that, as he didn't just save them from the Marines at Sabaody, he essentially saved them from the New World, as they were strong by Grand Line's means, but they were extremely underprepared for the New World and would have likely ended up like his crew had they gone through. Kuma didn't just send them anywhere to safety, he sent each Straw Hat to the best place that suited them, will help them get stronger in the long run, and help them grow to be a pirate that can handle themselves in the New World. Going even deeper, each place he sent them was somewhere that meant something to him and he knew they would be safe in. In chapter 1099, we see in Kuma's backstory that he traveled to most of these places while he searched for a cure for Bonney's disease. He sent them to some of the people he trusts the most. He sent Robin to the Revolutionary Army, Sanji to his best friend Ivankov, Nami to the Sky Island, and Zoro to Mihawk, and so on and so on. Kuma's connection to the Straw Hat cannot be understated, and it's something that's not really played up in the story at this point, but it makes sense and is going to change soon. The reason it's not really played up is simply because the Straw Hats themselves don't really know how deep the connection goes. Just think, for the better part of 2 years, they most likely were under the assumption that Kuma attacked them, separated them all with the exception of Nico Robin. It wasn't until they came back to Sabaody and seeing that Kuma protected the Sunny that it all began to click for them, where Frankie then fills them in a bit on the situation. Without Kuma, who really knows what would have happened to the Straw Hats? This alone gives Bonney a connection to them, but she still has even more through her own self as a character. Bonney has a huge connection to the world government. Through her own experiences and Kuma memories, she knows just how evil the world government can be and just how devastating they are to the One Piece world in general. This is something that they clearly know, but it's not been something that has truly affected them on a personal level. We know for Luffy to get really involved in any huge conflict, there always has to be an initial emotion or reason to spark it, and I can see this being a thing. Straw Hats have been more or less just traveling the seas, looking for the One Piece, just doing their thing, not really worrying about the world government, but that has to change. On top of that, we know that the Straw Hats are comprised of people from all walks of life and from all different places around the world. Luffy even has crewmates who were former enemies. Would it not be fitting for Luffy to have a celestial dragon on his crew? Literally, someone whose entire group of people hate and stand against everything that Luffy and his crew stand for. It gets no more poetic than that. In the arc we first meet Bonney in, we are properly introduced to the celestial dragons. And then in the next arc she's in, we find out that she's actually a celestial dragon herself. That just goes to one of the major themes of the arc, that essentially no one is born bad or less than anyone else because of their family or bloodline. What matters is the person themselves, their heart, and their actions. Then there's the fact of Bonney having a heartbreakingly tragic backstory. We know by now that it's almost mandatory that all Straw Hats have had some type of hardship or come from a sad circumstance. Majority of her short life was lived in a church where she stayed in 24 hours a day, not able to go outside because of her sapphire stone disease. Then the only parent she has ever known seemingly was turned into a mindless robot without her knowing why, and made to be a slave and marry Joa. Bars. On top of that, she contracted the same disease, then her father gave up his humanity and the freedom he had always dreamed of in hopes of saving her life. With all that, she's only 12 years old and her story is nowhere finished. Just to put that into perspective, she's 4 years older than Momo, but unlike Momo, she doesn't have the 9 scabbards behind her supporting her every step of the way. At this point in the story, she literally has no one left, not even a crew. Not saying she has to rise to the occasion and be a leader like Momo, but she literally was just exposed to the absolute darkest sides of humanity and has absolutely no one there or to support her. What she just experienced in Kuma bubble would be hard for anyone to handle, let alone a little girl. At this point, she doesn't just need good friends to look after her. She needs a family, a group of people who truly care for one another and will always have each other's backs without fail. I could think of no other crew or group of people better than the Strawhats. Also, it would be fitting that when Kuma and Jenny were locked away in a prison, it was Dragon that freed them and allowed them to join the Revolutionary Army. This time around, it's Luffy liberating their daughter Bonney and allowing her to join his pirate crew. Kuma really came through and helped the Straw Hats when they honestly needed it most, allowed them to become stronger, and even protected their most prized possession, the Thousand Sunny. He did all this and they never really got a chance to thank him or pay him back. What better way to say thank you than allowing his little girl to join their crew and be able to watch over her and have her back? As a father, you literally can ask for nothing more. That way, the Straw Hats repay their debt to Kuma. The one caveat to this is that the exact role that Bonney will be filling could in theory be filled by Vivi, as she is a popular candidate for joining the Straw Hats. She already has a personal connection with them from her time back when they helped her save Alabasta. They all love and care for Vivi to the point that when she was actually offered a spot on the crew, unlike usually when it's just Luffy asking her wanted someone to join, they all wanted her to join. She not only has a strong connection to the government through her family being royalty and the rulers of Alabasta, but she also has an even deeper connection with the girl say, maybe most importantly, Emu. Family even had the chance to become celestial dragons long ago, but they turned it down. Top of that, she has the personal connection on a tragic level because the girl saying Emu literally just murdered her father, Cobra. Someone the Straw Hats helped, and a man who was a friend to them. Vivi will definitely have a major role to play in the upcoming war, but I feel like what she is doing will be much bigger than her simply becoming a Straw Hat, but nonetheless, she will stand beside them. I feel like Bonney needs the Straw Hats way more than Vivi does, honestly. There's also a huge connection with the Nika stuff and Bonney and Kuma that I really didn't touch on, but it's super relevant, as we know with both of their dreams to not only be freed by Nika, but to see him smile and dance. I believe they both are about to have their dreams fulfilled and be set truly free. Bonney by becoming a Straw Hat, and Kuma through death and being reunited with Jenny. I really do believe in this theory wholeheartedly, but then again, we all do know that Oda is the master troll, so maybe not.